Today what we're going to be going through is another nice little healthy snack because we've all got a bit of a sweet tooth every now and then, and usually on a Sunday I'll usually treat myself to something nice just to have that 80-20 rule. So what we're going to do today is make some marshmallows, and the main ingredient in this is the gelatin. And I've talked about gelatin in the past when I've talked about making broths and bone broths and soups and things. So this is another great way to get a great source of food for gelatin into our diet. So what gelatin is, it's the collagen from animals. So we're looking at parts from like the hoofs, the bones, the cartilage and the joints. All these are sort of ground up, and that's how we get our gelatin. And from being a chef, the only reason why we'd ever use gelatin was as a setting factor. So if you're making some sort of a dessert, or you needed something thickened up like a cheesecake or a mousse, you could put some gelatin in there and it'd sort of make it set it to give it that nice thickness. But I've been doing a lot of research, and gelatin I found out has got some amazing health benefits to it. So for example, 50% of it is protein. So a lot of people out there are struggling to get protein sources, especially after workout, and I see a lot of trainers and a lot of people in the gym walking around popping some BCAAs, or they're having their protein shakes rather than whole foods and getting their proteins from a whole food source. So if you're looking for a quick way to get some proteins in after a workout, you can make yourself a nice little smoothie. You can throw in anywhere from 2, and you can work your way up to about 6 tablespoons of gelatin. And like I said, 50% protein. It's very bioavailable, so you're doing your body a great favour. Other places you can put the gelatin as well to help boost up this protein. Plus there's a whole bunch of other health benefits we'll be going through in a minute. You can put it with some soups. When you make a broth, you can add some extra gelatin in there as well, in the mornings or after workout when you're having smoothies. So you can put this stuff in a lot of those sort of liquid things that we drink and we eat, just to boost up your protein count. Another thing it's got is very high in glycine and alanine, and these two products are amazing because they're very anti-inflammatory. So the number one selling medication out there right now is anti-inflammatories. A lot of people have got inflammatory states, be it in their gut. A lot of people have got inflammation of the gut, which can lead to leaky gut syndrome, and which will wreak havoc on your immune system and also your adrenal glands. And once that happens, then you can even get cellulite. Then the inflammation causes water to go into the interstitial tissue, which creates cellulite. So it causes a whole bunch of problems, this inflammation guy. So a good way to sort of help get down that inflammation is start adding gelatin to your diet every day if you can. What it also does, it helps lower estrogen. Another thing we got in the environment as well is a lot of estrogen. Even in our plastic water bottles, we got the bisphenol A's, which is a chemical which mimics estrogen. You've also got parabens, which are in toothpaste, they're in healthcare products, moisturizers, deodorants, even in food as a preservative. So our whole environment is now becoming overloaded with estrogen mimicking factors, and our hormonal system needs to be nice and balanced out. And sometimes when you've got too much estrogen, it can lead to things like cancer. It'll disrupt our thyroid, it'll have an effect on our adrenals, it'll have an effect on our immune system. So you can see, once things start getting out of balance, it can lead on to a whole bunch of other problems, and you might not be even aware of it. So what we can do, we can add this gelatin in. It'll help reduce the inflammation, it'll help balance out the estrogen, so it'll help stimulate the thyroid, it'll help stimulate your immune system, because the gelatin is also amazing for your gut. And like we know, 70% of our immune system's in our gut. So if you can look after our gut, help heal that, our immune system is going to be a lot healthier, which will unload the stress on our adrenal system as well. The other thing it's good for is for your skin, for your bones and for your teeth. So if you're looking to nurture your skin and the way you look, adding gelatin, decreasing inflammation, decreasing the amount of estrogen in the environment will definitely help you look after your body. Watch along, and I hope you enjoyed. Here are the ingredients for the marshmallows. Here's our gelatin. Again, a good source of gelatin is Great Lakes. Look it up on the internet, you can order that stuff right off there. It's an organic source, so really good stuff. Highly recommend it. Next one is the raw cacao powder. And also we need some shredded coconut, and then from there we need some sort of sugar, so you can get evaporated cane sugar. Here I've got some Rapadura, so it should be about the same sort of thing. And with the sizes, we need 3 tablespoons of the gelatin. We're looking at about 3 tablespoons of cacao powder, about 1/4 cup of coconut, and about 1.5 cups of rapadura or some sort of cane sugar. If you like, you could maybe even try around at increasing the amount of gelatin and cacao powder and maybe even some coconut and decreasing the sugar. It's up to you, but this is pretty much a straightforward recipe and you can adjust it to your own taste. And also a great source of filtered water. I use the reverse osmosis, and with that it takes out the fluoride as well as the chlorine, the heavy metals and all that stuff, so you're not going to get it into your system. So the first thing we need to do, we've got 1/2 cup of water. Just going to pour that into a bowl. The next step, we're going to get our 3 tablespoons of gelatin. I've got 4 tablespoons in this just to try and make a little bit more. And I'm just going to pour that on top of the water. A bit of a shake around. And then all we're going to do is just leave that to sit for about 10 minutes. Okay, so what we have here, we've got 1.5 cups of sugar. We're just going to throw that straight into a saucepan. The next thing we need is 1/4 cup of desiccated coconut or shredded coconut. I've gone for shredded coconut this time. Give it a bit more texture. So 1/4 cup. And again, as you probably know through a lot of my recipes, I'm not too worried about the size portion per se. It's more to me about the texture that I can get out of it and also the flavour. So if it's not right on 1/4 cup, it doesn't matter that much. Next thing we need is 3 tablespoons of cacao powder. 3. We're going to put 1/2 cup of water in there again. Goes. So all we're going to do now, just put it on some heat. We're just going to move it around so it starts to thicken up a bit. Sometimes the cacao powder and the rapadura is quite thick and a bit granularly, so you can get a whisk, get through there and just sort of make it nice and smooth. Okay, so I stirred that up for about, I guess, 2 minutes. It started to get a little bit of heat through it, started to get a little bit thicker. You're not looking for it to go super thick. So what we're going to do now is get this hot liquid and we're going to pour it over to the gelatin that we had sitting there before. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is just mix that around. And the next thing is we're going to chuck it in the blender and we're going to leave it in there for about 5 minutes till it gets nice and thick. Just going to put it on low sort of a spin. Ready to go. While that's spinning away, what we're going to do, get a glass container or a cake tin, and we're just going to grease it up so that when it comes out of there, it's going to go straight into there. Then all we're going to do is put it in the fridge for a couple of hours. Okay, that's our 5 minutes in the blender. It's thickened it up nice, so all we're going to do now, pour it into our glass container. And then that's going to go straight into the fridge or the freezer. Fridge is fine for a couple of hours, or if you want to get it set a bit quicker, you can throw it in the freezer for maybe half the time.
And now your actions, girl, speak louder than words. I got the bottle, bring me your cup. Pop the cork and try your soul. And when you're empty, I'll fill you up.